This is a Dell Optiplex 780 small form factor computer. This computer was manufactured in 2009 and uses the Core 2 processors. The last time I used this computer was about 6 months ago. I took it out the other day, plugged it in, and this is what I was getting: a flashing yellow power light. I was also getting a flashing 1-3 code here where the number codes are displayed. I'm not sure what happened to it. It was flashing pretty consistently, and now it has just stopped. I have no explanation for that. So it flashing yellow power light and flashing 1-3 memory error code. Now it's just a flashing yellow light. According to the service manual, if we have a blinking amber light, and if the hard drive light is off, which it is probable that the power supply needs to be replaced. Now, if we scan down to the diagnostic lights, the 1-3 light code indicates memory modules are defective. And we did get the 1-3 code initially, but now we don't see it anymore. So that's two things to consider. So we'll have a look inside the computer. To do that, we swing it around this way, and there's a latch right here. You have to push that latch. It takes a bit of doing. Okay. And then we can elevate the lid and take it off. Okay, first we will remove the optical disk drive to get it out of the way and expose the things underneath it. You lift up this little metal lock here, and you can slide the optical drive back and lift it up and out. And we can disconnect the cables from the back of it. Now, looking down into the computer, we can see the memory sockets. There's 4 of them. Now, I have tested all these memory modules. I removed them all and I put them in one by one in different sockets, and that did not clear the 1-3 error. However, the 1-3 error has appeared to have cleared on its own. Again, I have no explanation for that. With the power cord plugged into the power supply, I do get this amber light here. That light there indicates that there is standby power being produced by the power supply. That's a 5-volt supply coming from the power supply to the motherboard, so the power supply isn't completely dead. It's at least putting out a 5-volt standby voltage. I will unplug the power cord. So we want to isolate various components in case there's a short someplace else that's loading down the power supply and causing it to shut off. If the power supply senses a short circuit, it's going to shut itself off. There could be a short circuit in one of the peripherals. We have already disconnected the optical disk drive. We will now disconnect the hard drive from the power supply. And we still have no power. On the back of the computer, on the back of the power supply, there's a button and a green LED. This is a test button. If the power supply is operating correctly, this green light should turn on when I press the test button, and it does not respond to the button. The next thing is to disconnect the motherboard. That could be also a source of a short. This is the main power connector here to the motherboard. We'll disconnect that. And then there is this 4-pin power connector supplying power to the CPU. We shall disconnect that. Plug in the power supply. Nothing. Although I do hear what sounds like a relay clicking. And if you look through the grid here, you can kind of see the fan trying to turn. So that to me says there's probably a short circuit in the power supply. As soon as you power the thing up, it detects the short and it shuts it down, but it gives you like a couple milliseconds of power. So I think we have confirmed that the problem is the power supply, and we will have to remove it. We have 2 screws here and here that'll have to be removed. Now internally, at what would be the front of the power supply facing the front of the computer, we have this little tab here that we have to depress. And that enables us to slide the power supply back, now up and out. And here's our power supply freed from the computer. Now the first thing you can do, you can just kind of sniff the thing. If a component has burned, has shorted out, sometimes you can detect a burnt smell coming from the power supply. I'm not getting that. Now the easiest thing to do would be to simply buy another power supply for this computer. This is a very old computer and there's lots of power supplies for sale on eBay. Make sure you're getting the one for the small form factor, the one with that kind of a little ledge on it there. Here's one. Only $16 and free delivery. And if I scroll down, I can see a whole lot of these things. There's another one. There's another two. I mean, there's tons of them for sale if you just want to purchase a secondhand power supply and swap it in. I'm going to open up my own power supply, in part just out of curiosity. I would like to see if there's anything there I could replace and get it fixed myself. That would be interesting. Now it has a couple of these twist ties that I've gone ahead and released. So what's the best way to get this thing apart? Well, it appears to be comprised of two pieces of metal, sort of put together like that. You can kind of see this one piece wrapping around the other. It's held on by two screws here and two screws there. We'll go ahead and remove those. Now we get a glimpse of the inside. The power supply consists of two boards, one on either side, anchored to the opposite sides, each. This one held in by 3 screws and this one held in by 4. Let's have a look at those boards. Okay, here's one cable we can disconnect. This is the cable to our test button and light. There's our problem. We're kind of soldered in there. Okay, well now I have at least some access to where I can do a little troubleshooting. Well, long story short, I did disassemble this power supply. I was hoping to find something easy, obvious, like a swollen or blown capacitor or an obviously burned component. I couldn't find anything. These small form factor computer power supplies are notoriously difficult to troubleshoot, in part because they're so small and packed together. And given the age of the computer and given the fact that I can purchase a secondhand replacement so cheaply, I've decided I'm just not going to put in the time and effort. I'm just going to purchase a secondhand one off of eBay. Sometimes troubleshooting things like this can go on for hours, particularly when you don't have a schematic to help you. I've gone ahead and ordered the replacement power supply, and here it is. Yep, well, looks like it. Let's go ahead and put it in and see what happens. We shall put our power supply back in. I'm going to go ahead and connect the power cord to the hard drive first because it's so hard to reach. Now we have to line up our power supply with this little device here and these little slots there. We have to push it down and then slide it backwards. Okay, that's snapped into place. And we have our 4-pin power connector. That supplies the CPU. And we have the main connector on the motherboard. And now we have the optical drive. Again, probably easier just to connect the power and data lines first before you drop it in. Otherwise, things get a little tight. It sort of goes in upside down like that. That's the data line, now the power line. And now we can slide the optical drive. Has these little slots here and here. You line up these screws. Lift up this little thing here to slide it forward. And lock it in place. Okay, our power supply is all hooked back up again. Now our power supply does have that test light on the back. Let's plug in the power cord. And there it goes. Again, there it goes. Okay, the test light is good. Now we have the computer hooked up to a monitor and a keyboard. Let's see what happens. Yay, green lights. And that's it. It's booted up, and I brought it into the diagnostic screen. No need to boot it up all the way. Now the obvious question is, why even bother fixing a computer this old in the first place? Well, I find these old Core 2 Duo or Core 2 Quad computers built between 2007 and 2009 can actually be quite useful, depending on what it is you're doing. This computer has Windows 10 64-bit loaded on it, and it runs it quite well. You can run it with as little as 4 gigabytes of RAM, although the more RAM the better. And if you put a solid-state disk drive in these things, they can run really fast. Okay, that is how we troubleshoot and diagnose and replace a power supply in a Dell Optiplex 780. If you're having a power supply problem, I hope this video was helpful to you. Thanks for watching.